Let's begin with a prayer, everyone. Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Friend, beloved God,
Friend, beloved God,
great masters of self-realization,
Great Masters of self-realization,
Lord Jesus Christ,
Lord Jesus Christ,
Krishna Babaji,
Krishna Babaji,
Lahiri Mahashai,
Lahiri Mahashai,
Swami Shri Yukteswarji,
Swami Shukeshwarji,
Gurudeva,
Gurudeva,
Paramahansa Yogananda Ji,
Paramahansa Yoganandaji,
saints and sages of all religions,
saints and sages of all religions,
we invoke thy blessing.
we invoke thy blessing.
Fill us this day
Fill us this day
and every day
and every day
with thy power,
with thy power,
thy courage,
thy courage,
thy strength.
thy strength.
Protect us
Protect us
in thy light.
in thy light.
Not your good,
Not your good,
we are thy children.
we are thy children.
Om. Peace.
Peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai.
I'd like to start off with a song by Swami Ananda entitled Peace. And then we'll read from Whispers from Eternity. Peace gave us the mountains. Peace gave us the sky. Nightly when starlight enfolds us, peace is its lullaby. Peace gave us the morning, peace gave us the sun. bird songs that call us to welcome day and fresh labors begun. Amen. Peace gave us the seasons. Peace gave us the rain. Cool clouds that gather to bless us. His hands that soothe away pain. Amen. Peace gave us our heart's love. Peace gave us our smile. Rays of God's presence within us. Light that all strife reconciles. Amen. Let's all sing the Amen together at the end. Amen.
This is from Whispers from Eternity by Ananda. And I just randomly opened up the book. This is one of my favorite poems of Master. O divine sculptor, chisel thou my life. Every sound that I make, let it have the vibration of thy voice. Every thought that I think, let it be saturated with the consciousness of thy presence. Let every feeling that I have glow with thy love. Let every act of my will be impregnated with thy divine vitality. Let every thought, every expression, every ambition be ornamented by thee. O divine sculptor, chisel thou my life according to thy design. Om
Shanti.
Peace. Amen.
It's our blessing and great joy to be with you all this afternoon. Here we are working on the divine qualities of omnipresence. This Zoom network is fantastic because we're on different sides of our North American continent. Maybe there are those who are in different parts of the planet. We're tuning in together with the power of thought and consciousness to uplift each other during this time of this pandemic, which came out of nowhere. Here we're living our lives and things are going on. We're going into our group meditations, or be it there in New York City or here in LA. We have our Ananda Center here in Los Angeles that we just moved out of. We had 3 of them, West LA, down in Redondo Beach, and in Thousand Oaks. We realized that this pandemic can go on for a long time, and why pay rent when you're connecting in a Zoom consciousness? So we relinquished those centers, and we were able to actually purchase a facility, a building that will have the headquarters for Crystal Clarity Publishers. We'll have a temple space, a bookstore space, and also a office space for crystal clarity, and
And
possibly a cafe. But we'll see. We'll see. It might be just a repository for all of the Ananda crystal clarity books that have been brought down from Ananda Village to Los Angeles. I was there all day yesterday and in East Los Angeles. For those of you who might be familiar with the City of the Angels, the east side is not very well considered, but there's a real strong vibration right in the corner of not just one block from Atlantic Boulevard and East Olympic Boulevard. There's a Jewish school, and then there is a church, which is the Church of the Holy Spirit. And it's primarily Spanish, Hispanic area, and some of our members grew up in that area. But it has a particular vibration that's very special. So at this point, we own the building. So it's a real blessing for us. Dikshini and I, we lived in Rhode Island for 5 years, from 2005 until 2010. And it's just our joy to reconnect with you all. We've been following the stories in New York City. Los Angeles has not been hit as bad, although we've had, over the past week, 800 people a day contracting the virus. So it's been a steady low ebb. It's this invisible taskmaster that's bringing us to grips with who are we? Why are we here? And it's just shaking up everything. I remember Paramahansa Yogananda's words, "May you remain unshaken amidst the crash of breaking world." And he had prophesied that one day things would happen that would transform our entire civilization. I don't know if we're here or not, but I do have one person who has an opinion on the subject. And this is my friend. I don't know if you can see him. This is Gertrude, the wise old owl. And Gertrude is asking every one of us, who am I? And that's the big question. Gertrude, thank you for flying in and educating us and giving this question. Yes, Gertrude, who am I? Who are we? Satchidanandam. We're ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. This is the definition of the divine presence, the divine consciousness that is in every particle of creation, even in that coronavirus, in the COVID-19. We don't know why this manifestation took place, but it's disrupting everything. It's becoming it can be on one level a burden. It can be, we can cower and feel. We might even lose our lives in the process. But ultimately, it will be the test for our merit badges of self-realization. In this pandemic, it provides us with an opportunity to rise up with great strength and courage, or to cower in fear. We have to come to grips with this reality by getting in touch with our inner center, our inner core. We've heard it all, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I was giving a program the other night on the saints of Yogananda. And this is a 4-week class series on Tuesday night. We've been offering it here at Ananda, LA. And we're doing 4 weeks. And the first one was Dr. Lewis. I was talking about Dr. Lewis because he had such an impact for all of us on the East Coast. He was the first Kriya Yogi in America. And he met Yogananda for the first time on Christmas Eve, 1920. 100 years ago, Dr. Lewis met Yogananda. And Dikshini and I, so we went to Master's Crypt and in Forest Lawn, and we meditated there, and we were realizing, well, where's Dr. Lewis and Mrs. Lewis? They should be out here somewhere. So we went to the main office at Forest Lawn in Glendale, and we asked them, where's Minot W. Lewis, a doctor of dentistry? 5 minutes, they looked it up on the computer, and they gave us the map, and sure enough, we were able to find the grave site of Dr. and Mrs. Mildred Lewis, the first Kriabans in America. And when I was giving the class, I present this book from the daughter. It's Treasures Against Time. It's really a classic. So we're considering publishing this at Crystal Clarity Publishers to be the repository of all the saints of Yogananda, all the great disciples of Yogananda. Right now we have the book by Kamala Silva. I don't know if people are familiar with Kamala, but she was the first Kriya Yoga teacher that Yogananda ordained to initiate others into the science of Kriya Yoga. She came and lived with Master, and her mother was the first woman doctor in Los Angeles. And her and her mother met Yogananda when he came in 1925, and they were the first to move into Mount Washington. And so she wrote 2 books. Kamala Silva is her name. You can purchase these books from Crystal Clarity because we are publishing her books now. The Flawless Mirror, that was her first book, and it describes her life living with the Master, and Priceless Precepts. And Yogananda said, you need to get married, Kamala, but you don't have to worry about it because I'll find you your husband. I already know who he is. He's a yogi from many lifetimes. This book, Treasures Against Time, I was giving the talk Tuesday night on Dr. Lewis, and I was asking questions at the end. And these people came on. 3 people were from New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And they were a part of the Dr. Lewis's family. Dr. Lewis was the grandfather of this woman, Leslie, and Lars, I don't remember their last name, and they had the great-granddaughter of Dr. Lewis with them. And they were so thrilled to hear the stories about their relative who dedicated his life. And I read from this book on the first Kriya initiation that I'd like to share with you because it has Yogananda wrote this vow that all the first-time Kriya bonds gave in America. And this was dictated to Mrs. Lewis by Masters Swami Yogananda Giri on January the 10th, 1921. So it was within 2 weeks after Dr. Lewis met Yogananda for the first time on Christmas Eve, 1920. In the presence of Lord God, your preceptor, and my spiritual guide, I promise and swear to act according to the following rules. To practice both morning and evening, to the best of my capabilities, the devotional exercises which you teach me. Now, what are those devotional exercises? Those devotional exercises are the techniques of Kriya Yoga, the practice of the recharging exercises, Hong Sa, Om technique, Kriya Pranayam, Jyoti Mudra, Mahamudra. These are, he's describing here to the first Kriya bonds as acts of love, acts of devotion, acts of cultivating the desire within your heart to know God. Number 2, I will never reveal it to anyone without your permission. And this is honoring the sacred lineage that the gurus from our line, Jesus met with Babaji and the Mayas. We don't know when that was, but sometime in the Himalayas and Babaji's. And Jesus said, send someone to the West to revive those in the West who are my followers, who have forgotten that the kingdom of heaven is within you. And so Babaji initiated Ledi Mahashai into this ancient science of Kriya Yoga. Ledi Mahashai in 1861 started this movement of self-realization, and he initiated people of all faiths, Jew, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, and he had disciples in the town of Varanasi, where, for those of you who haven't heard, Casey Hughes, who is our center leader down in Encinitas, the Ananda center leader in Encinitas, has just been involved with creating a Yogananda temple in the renovation of Varanasi. This is a part of the project of the renovation of the city. It's already been approved. We're in the process of developing that and raising the funds for that temple. You can contact Casey Hughes and know, get involved somehow. Number 2, I will never reveal the practice to anyone without your permission. Number 3, I will try my utmost to follow your general advice. For you will be my responsibility. So here he's putting it on the individual. I'm giving you a general advice to try this, to be a yogic scientist, to explore the techniques, to see if it will bring you peace of mind and courage and inner strength amidst these changing times. Number 4, you're offering, I give this offering as a offering to charity, offering of my heart, the flower, an offering of the fruit as a part of my past bad karma for bodily holiness. Number 5, if I indulge without your permission, extreme misery will overtake me according to natural laws. Now, what he's talking about here is, Master saying, if you overindulge in the senses, and this is a very personal journey. Our path of self-realization is very, very personal. Nobody can tell you anything. It's between you and that mighty source, that inner voice of conscience, which is always there trying to guide you to the highest within you. Number 6, this is the final vow. I will in every way help to spread this cause, for I owe to all human beings in some way or another, as everybody else does. I receive the help of theirs and others, and I will help others to get this divine knowledge, if I myself think I enjoy it after having practiced it. Master is, through this vow that he gave not only to Mrs. Lewis, but to Dr. Lewis, who was there. We don't know. One of the questions that I want to ask some of the Lewis family is, who was there at that first initiation? We have different pictures of Master with the devotees in New England, and also in Pershing Square, the different ones that are in that motion picture of Master. Colleen took us by the exact spot there near Grand Central Station in Pershing Square where Master was walking down the street, and he had an impact everywhere. But that message is very much alive today. One of the things that I've been inspired with Ananda and also SRF is this concept of Guru Seva, Yogananda Seva. And this is something that is, I think this coronavirus is providing us with an opportunity. This is a time in which we can find ways to individually serve everyone, just as it describes in this Kriya vow that Yogananda gave. We have an opportunity on a daily basis, even in seclusion, which we have been. I don't know how long you all in Manhattan and New York were hit first. So I don't know, how long you've been inside, but it can drive you up the wall if you're not practicing and chanting. If you're not reading spiritually minded books, if you're anxious. I know my wife, she works here at home. I was laid off on my job, so I have more time to stay up late at night and read after 12 o'clock. And sometimes I've been getting into this rhythm of trying to get to bed by 7. I used to be a member of the 7 o'clock club when I was growing up in grammar school. It was hard for me as a kid trying to go to bed at 7. But now that I'm over 67, I'm actually thrilled to go to bed at 7 o'clock, because when you go to bed early, what happens? You wake up early. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you can get your kriyas into the point where you begin to fall asleep again. Or you can hang in there and battle through the night with devotion and trying to open up your heart and to see and feel the inner presence, the inner light of God within you. There was a gentleman, Lars, who married Dr. Lewis's granddaughter. They got married at SRF, and all their children got baptized by Brother Ananda, who was very close with Swamiji in SRF. He told me the story how when he came to Encinitas, somehow he met Dr. Lewis. And this was back in 1954. And Lars described himself as a boxer. He used to love to get into fights with people. He met Dr. Lewis, and Dr. Lewis says, you're kind of rough around the edges. I want you to come with me. My daughter's going to drive up to Hollywood Church, and I'm going to give a talk there for the lay, and Swami Kriyananda was the minister at the Hollywood Church at the time, 1955. Lars is telling me this story after the program that I gave on Dr. Lewis on Tuesday evening, last Tuesday. He had moved out from Minnesota, very strong, loved to fight. He was a farmer. And he said, Ram, I was nobody. I was rough around the edges. And this guy, Dr. Lewis, he tells me, hop in the back seat of my car. My daughter's going to drive, and we're going to go up to Hollywood for this program. And he did that every week with Dr. Lewis. And every Monday, he would go to the Sunday services in San Diego where Dr. Lewis conducted his services. And then on Monday, Dr. Lewis would take Lars to Master's room at the Encinitas Hermitage, and he said, okay, now you sit here and meditate all day, 12 hours. Lars did this for I don't know how many years, until 1960, when Dr. Lewis had his samadhi, Mahasamadhi, you call it. Lars was a very close disciple. He married the granddaughter. Every child that he had, he named after Dr. Lewis's name and Mrs. Lewis. It was either Mildred or Minot. He wasn't there at the passing of Dr. Lewis in the Cripps Hospital in San Diego, but he was there the day before. For those of you who don't know, Yogananda prophesied that Dr. Lewis would attain Mahasamadhi at his death, and that Sri Yukteswar himself would come and escort him into the astral world. And in the book, Treasures Against Time, there's a letter that Sri Yukteswar writes to Dr. Lewis, and they're in correspondence and so forth. He wakes up in the middle of the night. Mildred, his wife, and his daughter were there, and Brenda Lewis. And they said all of a sudden he raised up in bed. He started practicing Kriya Yoga very loudly, like a hurricane. The face of Swami Sri Yukteswar appeared on the face of Dr. Lewis, and boom, he left the body. That's how he transitioned. When he came to Master, he had a lot of doubts. But Master transformed that entire family. The Lewises had 2 children. One was Bradford. He was the oldest child. Brenda was the 2 years younger. And so when Yogananda met them in 1920 in Boston, the kids were growing up there. And there's this one story how Lars told me when Bradford took Kriya Yoga initiation at the age of 7. Can you imagine this? Yogananda would always ask him, "Now, Brad, what did you see when you took the initiation?" "I saw Krishna in a flying chariot of gold flying across the sky." Yogananda took Bradford with him in 1935, along with Richard Wright, to Europe. And Yogananda was going on to India. Richard Wright continued on with the trip to India, but Bradford came back after the European experience. Yeah, Richard Wright is Dayamata's brother who went on the trip. It's all in the autobiography. And I assume that most of the devotees here watching this have read the autobiography of a yogi and know the story of Richard Wright going over to meet Teresa Neumann of Koningstroit. The funny thing is, when Lars was telling me these stories about Bradford, who was the father of his wife, Leslie, he was saying that Bradford was there when he met the mystic Teresa Neumann of the Roman Catholic Church. But I won't tell you the story. He says, I'll let Leslie tell you the story. Well, there's a beautiful story in the Rajasi Janakananda letters from Yogananda when he was on the trip to Europe. Master describes how Richard Wright actually sees Teresa Neumann going into this stigmata experience of bleeding from the hands and from the sides, and the blood is everywhere in the room. Master Guruji is in samadhi looking at what she's experiencing in the astral vision that she's experiencing of Jesus. And he hears this thump, and it brings him out of his samadhi. He looks around a little bit, and it was Richard Wright who just passed out of the sight of seeing this horrific stigmata experience there in Koningstroit in Germany. Anyway, Bradford was there also. We don't know exactly what happened, his impressions, but I'm eager to question the Lewis family about all these little details that I've had over the years studying these teachings. And Brenda Lewis Rosser, who's pictured here, she's the one who compiled this book in commemoration of her mother, who lived 28 years after her husband's passing. So 1960, January, Dr. Lewis had his Mahasamadhi. And the way Lars describes it, Dr. Lewis, he would often say, "I have the same consciousness as Yogananda," meaning they were totally clairvoyant, he and the Lewises. They knew when you were true in your word and so forth. And he would advise him to break the ego. Your problem is you have too much ego. And I said to Lars, "Well, my friend, welcome to the club." Mrs. Lewis, she influenced a lot of people. And when we were at the gravesite of the Lewises, Dr. and Mrs. Lewis, up at the Forest Lawn Mortuary in Glendale, which is just above where Yogananda's tomb is, I was thinking how many people, because when I had this experience traveling with Swami Kriyananda, and I lived in Italy for 7 years, and we met many disciples. It was beautiful to see. Swamiji was the first of the ministers of SRF to go to Europe and give Kriya initiation. When we returned with a group of Ananda members over the years, we came in, I came in 1984 to Italy as a part of a team effort to build our work over there. We would meet people who have been a part of the self-realization movement for many, many years. I'll just mention, these were spiritual warriors. There was one man, I believe that Mrs. Lewis met most of these people, but there was one man in Germany. He was a German soldier. He was a Nazi, you could say. And I remember when he came, Hans Ulbrich was his name. He hardly spoke. Hans hardly spoke a word when he would come to the retreats in Como and Assisi. But you would look into his eyes and he would have these eyes that were like diamonds. It was like you'd look into his eyes and see the depth of eternity in them. I remember asking Hans, I said, what did you do during the war? You had to carry a gun, you had to shoot people. He said, I never shot or killed anyone. I made it a point, and I felt Master's protection guiding me throughout the war. There were a fellow from Florence, and he was a devotee of the great Roman Catholic mystic, Padre Pio. And he would go to Padre Pio for confession, and Padre Pio, this man's name was Socio, and Swamiji initiated him for the first time when he was in SRF. And he hadn't seen Kriyananda since. And he told us this story about how he went to Padre Pio, and Padre Pio, the great Roman Catholic saint, who was just been canonized a saint, he said to him, Socio, what are we going to do with you? We're going to send you to SRF. And he said, SRF? What is SRF? I don't know. God has just told me to tell that to you. It's up for you to find out. He was at work and someone started talking about SRF and Autobiography of a Yogi when he was working in Rome. And he says, that's the book that I'm supposed to get. Padre Pio told me to get it. And he started taking the SRF lessons. Kriyananda came over in 1955 to Italy. He initiated him in Florence. And when he came to our center in Assisi, it was probably 1989. And again, you look into his eyes and they were like diamonds. Warriors, spiritual warriors, who were not just giving lip service, but proving their test in the cold light of day. And this is what we're here to do, folks. Every situation, Master would say, is neutral. It's whether we color it negative or positive. We can see this coronavirus as an opportunity to grow spiritually. I was telling someone, I said, wow, this is great. We have a forced seclusion on us. I've been wanting to take seclusion for years, just haven't had the time.
Ram has said that we are forced not to be in seclusion, which is a great desire of, I think, everyone who wants to move forward on a spiritual path. I am working for a company where I had to go every day to a physically to a place. I really love my work, the work what I do, I love. But it was a very big hardship for me to be in that environment every single day. And I always said, oh God, that would be such a blessing if I could just do my job at home. And I always trust Divine Mother. She, this or that way, she always fulfills my desires. But she's funny because takes it in a little bit strange way. So anyway, when this coronavirus thing came, and one day they said at my work, okay, now here is everyone a laptop. Everybody was trained on the laptop. From now on, you have to stay at home. You have to do your job from home. I didn't mean Divine Mother to do it this way because it's a little bit weird way, but anyway, thank you. So the facts and our environment is neutral. It's really depending on our perception, how we experience the different facts or stories around us. And if you choose to wear black glasses, then it will be black. But if you choose to see it through a pink glass, then it will be pink, and you will find positive results of something.
It's we're all on our journeys of eternity. We're living in the eternal now, and now is our chance to tap into our purpose. And our purpose is only one, and that is to attain moksha, spiritual freedom, to be used as an instrument to experience the divine within this bodily temple and to share that vibration with all, and to live in bliss, live in kindness, live in service to all. We have to try to maintain that inner stillness, especially in the heart, of giving kindness to people. We have to pray. This is a time, as St. Paul says in the Bible, of praying unceasingly. Praying unceasingly. Not for you, just your immediate loved ones, but also the people who are the healthcare workers, the people who are the essential workers on the front line, the first responders. I was standing at the Earth Cafe at another time to get a takeout, and some first responders showed up. I said, "Hey, you guys in front of me. These are our real heroes in the world. These people who are doctors and nurses. They're coming down with it themselves." We have an opportunity to serve through prayer. There's a prayer that one person used: "I bless you and bless you, for the goodness of God is within you." Let's say if someone walks up to you on the street is begging. We haven't seen nothing yet, folks. When you go to India, for those who've been, I used to carry a whole pocket full of coins just to give out to people. We haven't seen that level of poverty in this country. Although Master said that America will go through a depression far worse than the one in 1930, but we'll become more spiritual from it. We'll lose half our wealth, but we'll become greater spiritual beings of light from it. And whether we're here or not, we have an opportunity to expand our auras and to pray for people. All it takes is a time, say their name or just visualize them. I bless you and bless you, for the goodness of God is within you. I remember being with Kriyananda once, and Swamiji's his example of being persecuted for being a devotee, of never wavering as a disciple. When his superiors, his guru bhais, were denouncing him as a traitor, as a Judas, just incredible, he always responded with kindness and love. And I was in many situations where he was denounced. This one fellow was saying to Kriyananda, "Well, what do you think about me now, Kriyananda?" Swamiji said, "Well, I love you. In your soul, I love you. But in your ego, I think it's despicable for what you've done in denouncing me. But I give you my unconditional friendship and love." And this is what Master asked Dr. Lewis, and Master asked Kriyananda. And this is why we have our discipleship initiation. When Dr. Lewis came to Paramahansa Yogananda Christmas Eve 1920, Master asked him, once Dr. Lewis wanted to be initiated, not into Kriya. He didn't give him Kriya that night. He gave him initiation into discipleship. He showed him the inner light, but he asked Dr. Lewis, "Will you give me your unconditional love? Will you never avoid me ever in your life?" And Dr. Lewis said, "Never avoid you? Yeah, I will never turn my back on you." even if I see you are wrong. And the Master rubbed his hands together and said, now, good. Now I take charge of your life. Because that unconditional love is what the Guru gives to every disciple. And it's our duty as a disciple to be a channel for the Guru, be a channel of that love, unconditional love of forgiveness. And for people on the other side who are Guru biased, denouncing, you don't follow the self-realization teachings. Let us agree to disagree, because truth is one and eternal. And everyone must have come to grips with that truth within their own hearts. And only love is the answer. Forgiveness is the answer. Kindness is the answer. And when we're confronted with whatever comes to us, and we pray that powerful prayer that we started, that affirmation of the spiritual warrior that we started out with today, that we are spiritual warriors and we go by faith. We go by the love of God in our hearts. We are protected in God's infinite light. This is what we want to do, to be used as a channel. As the Master said, the channel is blessed by what flows through it. This is what Guru Seva is about. It's not necessarily what you do, but doing it consciously. Praying for others consciously. Serving your family consciously. Many people don't have time to be with their children or their loved ones, and now you're trapped with them 24/7. We have opportunities to work it out in close quarters. Hopefully not blows. They say that the domestic violence is up. I can understand why. You know, you come to a disagreement with your partner, just let it go. I forgive you. We're having a hard time financially. We're having a hard time in this seclusion toward each other in proximity. Our egos are rubbing against each other. The thwarting cross currents of ego, Yogananda described, is how we buff ourselves, sand ourselves down and become smooth, special, and open in the heart. This is the song that I close with for the Lewis program. And you know, Dr. Lewis in the book, Treasures Against Time, he has two songs, and this is one of them. It's called The Master's Love for Me. So silently and sweetly the Master comes to me. His love and joy enfold me in bliss and ecstasy. My mind is calm and peaceful. All cares are swept away. And in his omnipresence, I know that I am free. My mind is calm and peaceful. All cares are swept away. In his omnipresence, I know that I am free. How sweet the sound of all his Master's voice I hear. In all pervading silence, he whispers, I am here. My heart with joy is flowing. It sings eternally. There is no other love life, Master's love for me. My heart with joy is flowing. It sings eternally. There is no other love like Master's love for me. Go with love, may joyful blessings speed you safely on your way. May God's light expand within you. May we be one in that light someday. God bless you, dear friends.
God bless you all. We miss